Welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 122. I'm your host tonight and my name is Shorty, and after a bunch of false starts, I have two beans on the line with me tonight. So tonight we've got Cracker. How's it going, mate?
Good. We got there. Sorry about all the delays, boys, but things are recording, so let's go.
Hopefully. And we've also got Stu, who's somehow still awake despite the fact that we're recording well after his bedtime.
Hey guys. Good. I don't know how you got that together so quickly. You were laughing so hard 1.5 seconds before the welcome everybody, and it was perfect.
He's a professional, mate.
I'm just a professional showman. This is what we do. Pull it all together, and then, as you know, by the live streams that we do, get a few hours in and then just fall to pieces and get a bit loose.
Correct.
Well, we're already an hour in. And
yes. And we've been recording for 2 minutes, so. Yes, so interesting week. I think a bunch of our plans this week got messed up. Stu, you've had a good week. You've moved into your new house now, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I have. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling to be in a place that is mine.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see the day, but here I am. I just now need to unpack my magic cards.
And figure out where to put your Lego collection.
Oh, I'm probably just going to sell it all to buy more magic cards. That'd be easier.
You heard it here. If you want to buy some Lego, hit Stu up. He's got a nice big collection, and he's got some things he needs to part ways with.
I'm happy to sell it as a bulk lot. I'll do you a good price.
Ooh, here we go. Maybe we should get Pat into Lego sales. At the Lego Bazaar or something like that. You can buy the collection. Sounds good.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. And Cracker,
yes.
You and I, we were all set to catch up this weekend and play a whole bunch of Pioneer.
I was ready.
That was
I even streamed on Tuesday night with deck testing and all that sort of stuff. Using the world's ugliest application. And
that was horrible. But I was all set to build some Pioneer decks tomorrow morning before I head down to our caravan, and unfortunately, one of your kids has come down with COVID.
Sure has. Thanks, buddy.
Not good.
No, he's fine. He, it's just like cold symptoms. But he woke up a couple of times last night and he wasn't feeling great. And we're like, all right, well, let's do a test. And then immediately this bold line under the T popped up, and we're just like, come on, rip my Easter. So, spending the next week at home. That's okay. It's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cracker. I'm only just down the road. I'm happy to come and sit outside your living room window and sling spells between
play
class.
Magic through the
That's not a bad idea, actually.
I've heard worse ideas.
We could stream it.
Okay, there's the worst idea. Yeah. Not only have you got glare from your sleeves, you've got glare through a window. But anyway,
perfect.
We can try these things.
Very good. But you will have to let Dash know that the Easter Bunny will not be able to visit this weekend.
Wow.
So there's no Easter eggs because the Easter Bunny doesn't want COVID, because if he gets COVID, he can't give everyone else their Easter eggs. That's how it goes. I think
he's wearing a mask
accept
when
that.
He comes. Yeah, for sure. Dash is known for his, calm temperament.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway, we are here tonight to talk about Magic: The Gathering. That is the name of the game that we play. And before we get into that, we're going to shout out our awesome sponsors, which I might do tonight. I very, very rarely do the sponsor shout out. So
go for it, mate.
Huge shout out to Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They are a Facebook auction group, and you can go to JP MTG Bazaar. It will take you .com.au. It will take you straight to the Facebook page. You join up on the group. And, Pat posts 4 lots every single night. 2 of them are auctions, so they start at 0. There is no price on them, and you just bid what you want throughout the 24-hour period, and then hopefully you're the person with the highest bid at the end. And then there are 2 win it nows, where, they're listings with set prices, and you can just type sold in the comments, and the card is yours. So I've actually bought some cards this week from Pat. I
saw that.
Actually, the second time ever.
I assumed somebody else just had your login details.
No. I think I mentioned on the podcast last week, I built a new Commander deck, which I actually basically built from scratch. I've said this a million times that I've really struggled to build the concept of building a commander deck.
Yes.
And I went, I'm going to build a green, white, black, like an Abzan, like creature combo reanimation sort of deck. And I got a few. I was like, all right, I'm just going to get someone else's list and build that. And what I ended up doing was getting like 4 different lists and compiling all the cards and then going, all right, what do I want to actually build out of this? And I had to do like the full, I've got 150 cards. I need to cut cards out of here and that sort of thing. And I found it quite enjoyable. But
Nice.
the end result of that was that I needed a demonic tutor, and one came up on the auctions, and I snagged it for a pretty good price. I think it was sort of looking at comparison prices on eBay and things like that. I reckon I got it for like $10 cheaper than is the going rate. So definitely some bargains to be had at Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. So yeah, go and jump in there, bid on some stuff, and then when you win, tell them the Beans sent you. I didn't actually tell Pat that the Beans sent me, but I'm assuming that he knew.
I think he knows who you are.
The
I hope
Beans
so.
sent me.
You've talked to him once or twice.
Yes.
Now, with a new set release coming up, which I believe we're talking about a bit tonight,
We are,
he's
yes.
also running his usual new set giveaways. I think it runs out next Sunday, the 24th. All you have to do is find the post on his Facebook page about it, and it is, I think it's something that you've built or
Yes.
something handy that you have done. You just have to post a picture of that. So easy to enter. And as always, Pat's just super generous and giving away booster boxes, I can't remember, bundles.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff, always.
Yep.
So, make sure you get in and join in on that as well.
Very good. All right. So, as you mentioned, Stu, tonight is basically all about the new set that's coming out, which is Streets of New Capenna, which will be releasing in the near future. So, we'll do our usual show where we take you through the mechanics in this set. We've got Cracker back on with his mechanics voice ready to go.
That's right.
Mechanics voice? I don't think it's a mechanic. What do mechanics sound like to have a mechanics voice?
How's it going?
I don't want to
That's a good
disparage any mechanics, mate. They're very important people because I can't
They
fix a single thing on my car.
Pretty sure they sound like how I sound, so I can get away with it.
I mean, I did a year and a half of mechanics apprenticeship, so
Right.
they sound exactly like me, which is an Aussie bogan.
You said it, mate.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be talking all about the mechanics, and then we'll run through a few cards that we like the look of. So, Cracker, you're going to take us away with the new mechanics.
I would love to. So we've got 5 new mechanics and we have a returning one. So we have one mechanic for each of the families. So we're just going to go from the top down. And the first one is called Connive. This is Obscura's new mechanic. Obscura is yeah, I know. I was very anti it when we was Lorehold and all that sort of stuff, but we'll try it for now. Obscura, so it's black, blue, white. And their mechanic is pretty easy. It is called Connive, and it says draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So it's always on a creature. It will trigger under different circumstances, but whenever it says Connive, it's always the same thing. It's loot. If you discarded a non-land card, then you get a +1/+1 counter. It's pretty straightforward. What do you guys think of this one?
I like it. I mean, I like the loot effect more so than the counters. The counters just a nice little bonus.
Yeah, looting is always good. And always loot. Like always. Just anytime
first.
you have an opportunity to loot, just do it, okay?
Yeah. And it's on a, like, there's a bunch of different things that are triggering the Connive ability.
Correct, yeah. Sometimes it's like attack step or combat damage, or the example here is whenever a player casts their second spell on each turn, then the Ledge Shredder connives. So it's a 2-mana 1/3 bird with flying, and you cast another spell, you get to make it into a 2/4, assuming you discard it on land, and then it's pretty good.
That's also like this creature. This is triggering off any player whenever a player casts their second spell each turn. So
it does
not a
have
bad
to
creature,
be
actually.
the same player. So it's not like you can have your opponent cast a spell and then you cast a spell. It's the A player, so it's got to be like the same person casts 2 spells in one turn. But I mean, that's pretty easy to do. This thing will get pretty good, pretty big at blocking and stuff like that. Yeah,
but good filtering ability, because if you need the land, you're going to discard a non-land card, and that's going to make your creature bigger. But if you don't need lands, well, just discard those anyway, and you're just filtering and putting good stuff in your hands.
The next one is the Maestros. I'm trying to I've forgotten the word already. Mechanic. There's the word I'm looking for. I'm half asleep. The Maestro is blue, black, and red. It is the Grixis one. And theirs is called Casualty. So it says Casualty, and then it will have a number. The number will be different. In the example here, it's Casualty 1. And it says, as you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with a power 1 or greater. When you do, copy this spell. So the example here is a little chat, which is pretty cool. It's 1 in a blue. It says, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. So if you cast this, you sacrifice a 1/1, you get to have this effect twice. So it's not a cast trigger, it's a copy, but you still get 2, instances of this spell immediately, which is pretty great.
Yeah, and it's triggering when you're casting the spell, and then it's putting the copy on the stack. So it's like... Yeah,
it's
so
like Storm or something like that. So they can counter one of the copies, but they can't interfere with the sacrifice ability. So they can't... There are certain things. It's not targeting a creature or anything like that. So it's literally additional cost of the spell. So you can choose not to sacrifice a creature. If you don't have one, it won't happen. But otherwise, you cast it. You say, I'm going to cast this. I sacrifice my 1/1. There's no window for your opponent to go, I'm going to kill that creature so you don't get your casualty thing. It's already gone. It's happened. Correct.
No way to get blown out by...
Yeah, exactly. Which is good.
Like the Deadly Dispute, those sorts of things where it's, as an additional
destroy target
cost to
creature.
cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, and so you sacrifice the creature as part of casting it, and then if they counter the spell or whatever, it's too late. You've already sacrificed that creature, so...
Yes.
Yeah, this you will get the copy no matter what if you sacrifice a creature.
Yeah.
And there's different numbers that go with the casualty...
Correct.
thing, which determine the power that you need to...
Exactly right.
You need to sacrifice.
And it will be a singular creature. You can't sacrifice multiples to make up the total value. So you can't sacrifice 2 1/1s to have a casualty 2. We're going to chat about Obnixilis later, and he's got casualty X. So it's literally you can sacrifice any size creature, and you just get the effect for whatever X equals. So again, I like these. None of these are super complicated mechanics, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we've seen that sort of mechanic before. I can't remember what they were called.
Exploit was the one we used to have.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was good. That just, you'd sacrifice a creature as a additional cost. So when a creature ETB'd or as part of a spell, and then, you'd get a secondary effect. If you exploited, then this.
Yeah. There was a mechanic in, I think like Eldritch Moon or something like that was similar. It was like meant to be a creature mutating out of another creature. I can't remember what that was called, but we've seen this a few times. Different sacrifice a creature as you're doing something, and you get some sort of benefit for doing that. Yeah.
So the next one we've got is the Riveteers, which is the black, red, green colours. There's Jund, and the Riveteers mechanic is called Blitz. Blitz is going to be on a creature, and it says if you cast this spell for its Blitz cost, it gains haste. And when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So your creature gets haste and you draw a card. When it dies, it will always die at the end of turn. Again, straightforward. Seems really good. And usually the Blitz cost will be less than the normal casting cost of it.
Yeah, which is quite good. Like, because the example here is a 4-cost creature. Its Blitz cost is only 1 and a red. Mm-hmm. So you get haste, but by getting to draw a card when it dies, you replacing itself. So it's actually, it's almost like cycling, but you also get the creature and potentially other things that come along with it. That's a really good point,
actually. It feels almost like, it's almost like a Voke or something like that as well, where you get the creature, but you basically just get like a free attack step with it, or in this case, you can Jaxus, the Troublemaker. Activation. You get a free activation because it's red and tap, cool. Discard a card, create a token, and because it's got haste, you can do that on the same turn. So pretty cool. I like the look of this one.
It's an interesting one. I'm quite keen because
hasty we've got things.
Yeah, we've already got in standard a bunch of sacrifice like decks and things that are wanting you to sacrifice your permanent. So if you've already got some other sacrifice outlet, it doesn't matter how the creature dies that you've blitzed. It will die at the end of the turn no matter what, because you have to sacrifice it, but you can sacrifice it to an alternate source and still get to draw a card off of it. So sort of doubling up on what you're doing.
Yeah, seems really good. The next one we've got is the Cabaretti family. They are green, red, and white, the Naya colours. And their mechanic is Alliance. Alliance is probably the easiest one. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, something happens. It will tell you whatever that something is. Worth noting that it's every time a creature. It doesn't say once per turn or anything like that. And it is also not non-token, which is important because it seems like there's a bit of token support in the Naya colours in this set. And, if you're going to drop a couple of 1/1 tokens, then you get a couple of double triggers and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, you might be able to get out of hand with some Alliance things here.
Yeah, this seems like a mechanic where they've just sort of put a word in front of the text
exactly.
that you would normally. It's not really a mechanic.
Kind of, yeah. It's good to just keyword things sometimes, makes it nice and clean.
Yep. But yeah, very, very easy one to understand and should work quite well. The example that they give you is actually one of the cards that I had on my list to talk about, so I might as well talk about it while it's sitting right in front of us, which is the Devilish Valet. It's a 2 and a red for a 1/3 Devil Warrior with Trample and Haste. The good old 1 power trample creatures. You gotta love those.
Dreadhorde Arcanist, mate.
It's got the Alliance ability. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double Devilish Valet's power until end of turn. So this is
Pummeler, Shorty? Is that what this brings you back to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all it takes is like you said, Cracker. There are token generator type things in standard at the moment. All it takes is what's the goblin version of Raise the Alarm? It's one of those like two mana create 2 goblins.
Empty the Warrens type thing. No, not
that's Storm. But yeah. But yeah, you play this and you play a second creature, a 1-drop or something after it. It becomes a 2/3 Trample Haste. Yeah, that's fine. But
the Cabaretti charm makes 2 1/1 green white citizen tokens at instant speed.
Yeah.
So you can
things like that, because if you can get 2 or 3 creatures to enter the battlefield, you're doubling it. So it goes from 1 power to 2 power, then from 2 power to 4 power, 4 power to 8 power. If you manage to get 3 creatures coming into the battlefield, that's pretty good. And at the end of the day, it's a 1/3 with haste, so it's not too bad. I don't know if it would actually be strong enough, and who knows about good old mono red at the moment. But yeah, interesting card and potentially abusable when if only we had things like mutagenic growth and things like that in standard.
Yeah,
quite
sure.
Nice.
I was going to say, this thing obviously plays exceptionally with like pump spells. You want like a Titan Strength or something, man, where it gives like +3/+2 and scry 1.
Yep.
That kind of effect
and then play a creature and double it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just make sure you get your you do things in the correct order and play any pump spell type effects first and then play the creature, because it's the creature entering the battlefield that is causing the doubling effect.
Yes. All right. So the next one we've got is for the Brokers. The Brokers are green, white, and blue, which is the Bant colours, if you're old like us. And this one comes with shield counters. So the example here is the Disciplined Duelist. It is green, white, blue for a 2/1 with double strike, and it enters the battlefield with a shield counter. A shield counter does 2 things. One, it is protection. It's not protection. It will prevent the next time a creature will be destroyed, or it will prevent the next time it is dealt damage. Once it's dealt damage, though, it can be destroyed. So it's got like a little bubble on it, which is pretty cool. We've seen this similar kind of effects in like Totem Armor, I guess, is probably the first one that it jumps to mind, where if an effect would destroy a creature, the armor gets destroyed instead, so the shield disappears. The difference here is that if you can, ping it for 1, you then can like murder it afterwards. But it means you have to like double up on an effect to get rid of these creatures.
Yeah, I think like a couple of sort of big things to note with this is the Umbras that we've had in the past, like the Totem Armors. They only got destroyed if the creature would be destroyed. So whether it was, murder or enough damage to kill it. Whereas these shields are any damage it takes is enough to get rid of the shield. So like I said, you just sort of need to ping it for 1 damage and then that gets rid of the shield. But it does make it quite awkward to to try and kill these creatures, because there's not a lot of, you don't want to spend casting a card that is deal 2 damage to a creature just to get rid of its shield and then have to kill it again. You're basically 2-for-1ing yourself to try and kill these things. So I think this is actually going to be quite a strong mechanic and quite powerful. It certainly, protects you from board wipes and things like that as well.
Yeah.
The other thing to note with it is if it's damage that it's taking while it's still got the shield counter, is it's actually preventing the damage. So when damage is prevented, it stops things like lifelink from working. So if you've got, if you attack in with a lifelinker and they block with this thing, the lifelinker is not actually dealing the damage because the damage is being prevented, and so you don't get a chance to gain that life.
Yeah, it's not like an indestructible creature where you still deal the damage and gain the life, but the creature doesn't die.
Yeah. There's also weird things with like Bone Crusher Giant, which we don't currently have in standard, but there's a few things in Magic where they have text like Bone Crusher says damage can't be prevented this turn, and then it deals 2 damage to any target, and sometimes that just sort of seems like trinket text that's just added onto a spell. But what that means you can do is you can stomp someone in the face for 2 damage, have this thing that is stopping damage from being prevented each turn, and that actually turns off the shield from working.
Well, you could just stomp the thing with shield on it, and it will just kill it. Yeah, you can just target it directly. Yeah, sorry,
but it's just there's ways that you can get blown out by.
That's true.
Yeah, I know it was a thing with like protection creatures and stuff like that in Modern for a while. You could blow people out with skull cracks and things like that stopped damage from being prevented.
Yes, that is true.
Something to keep in mind.
All right, so the last mechanic we've got is a returning one, and this one is called Hideaway. We haven't seen Hideaway in a really long time, but this one's cool. So let me just read the whole thing. It says, when this enchantment enters the battlefield, Hideaway 5, when this enchantment enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. And then there'll be an effect where you can cast or play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So for this particular one, it's called Wiretapping. It's 5 mana. It's 4 and a blue. It says, whenever you draw your first card during each of your draw steps, draw a card. Then if you have 9 or more cards in hand, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So in the Hideaway value will change as well. It used to always be 4. You could look at the top 4. There were a series of lands that were, there was like Spine Rock Knoll, and there was Shelldock Isle. There was like a whole series of them where you looked at the top 4, you basically put the best thing underneath it, and then at a certain point you'd reach the condition to basically tap the land and a couple of others and cast the spell for free. Whereas this one is just checking for some point to be made. So in this case, the condition has been met. You've got 9 cards in hand, which sounds pretty great to me. You're drawing double cards, but I don't know how many 5 mana enchantments you get to stick that do nothing. In standard on the turn, you cast them.
So, and it only triggers when you draw your first card each of your draw steps. Like it's doubling up.
It's the second.
It's doubling up your card.
Yeah, it does. So you have to have 7 cards in your hand at the start of your turn when you untap, and then you draw, and then you draw again, and then you get to cast your spell.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so
Hideaway's cool.
Untap with a 5 mana enchantment with 7 cards in hand. And then
Living
you get to play
control life.
You get to play one of the top 5 cards off your library that might just be a land.
Possibly be a land, correct. But you get to play 2 lands that turn. Do you?
No, you don't. You can still only play 1.
Yeah, no, that's true. All right. So this card is amazing, and anyway, that's all the mechanics we've got.
Hideaway, when it was when I can't remember how much it was played,
block, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Law and Block.
Yeah,
I think it was played a little bit in Standard at the time, but it's been used in a few random combo decks here or there because you could hide away an Emrakul underneath a land and then cast it for free and different things like that. So there's been a few different decks that have used the Hideaway lands, but they were always Hideaway 4, and they were always lands that came into play tapped. So now it's on different permanents and there's varying amounts. So
pro tip: if you see Shelldock Island Cube, take it.
Yes, you will usually have something good you can put under it to cast later.
You will get to it at some point, and it is always worthwhile.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very good. So, yeah, nothing crazy complicated in those mechanics. An interesting way of doing it with the 5 families that we've got in this set, that this set is all themed around and having one mechanic per family. It's a kind of a cool way to do it. Gives them their own identity. But yeah, obviously these mechanics they're not only going to show up on the multicolored cards for those families, or those wedges or whatever it is. They'll be showing up on other cards as well. So keep an eye out for that. So let's get into some of the cards that we're interested in seeing. So Stu, you want to kick us off with one of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't looked at a lot of cards. I've been very busy while spoiler season's been happening, which is really preview season, I should say, which is really sad because I do like preview season. So my first card of choice is the Unlicensed Hearse. It costs 2 mana. It is an artifact vehicle with tap, exile up to 2 target creatures from a single graveyard. Unlicensed Hearse's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards exiled with it, and it's crew 2.
It's 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Just to clarify, You said 2 target creatures from a graveyard.
Oh, did I? Oh, yeah. Wow, I am tired. It's late. 2 target cards from a single graveyard. So it's, scoos on a vehicle almost, but 2 cards instead of the 1, and no mana activation to do that. Unfortunately, you can't do it the same turn it comes down. But
yeah, you can.
You can.
Yeah, because it's not a creature until it's crewed. So you can activate it the turn it comes down. So it's actually.
Right. I actually love this card even more now.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to just jam it in all my commander decks and just roll with it. Take that, Muldrotha, Chewy. Yes. Yeah, I really like it. It's probably the one card that's stood out to me so far. There's probably a lot more, but I dig it.
Yep. Cracker, how do you feel about Stu exiling all the cards from your graveyard?
Oh, mate, it's my favourite thing ever. This card is interesting. It has the potential to get really big in addition to, helping keep things under control. I think it's probably a sideboard card. And I don't know what kind, I'm thinking specifically for Standard at the moment. I mean, obviously in Commander there's always people doing graveyard shenanigans because you play with me. I think... I don't know what there is as far as, kind of bulk graveyard interaction at the moment in Standard, but repeatable non-mana gated effects they're really good. And then eventually it just turns into a thing you can kill somebody with. So it seems really strong for sure.
I think its power and toughness, I think that's going to count per card, as in this version of Unlicensed Hearse. It's the cards that it exiles, and then if this one dies and you get another one, its power and toughness is 0 because that one hasn't exiled any cards yet. That's how I'm reading it
for sure.
It does say exiled with it, so yes, that's the way I would read it as well.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got for it to get big, there's got to be cards in your opponent's graveyard to exile, which you're going to have a few, but you could spend a few turns exiling 6 or 8 cards out of their graveyard, and then you fire this thing up once, and it's an 8/8, and it's like, yep, sweet, let's get in, and they kill it, and then the next one you play, you've got no cards to exile. So you can exile cards from your own graveyard though, so there is that.
You can. Just thinking about it though, there are flashback spells, there are disturb cards, so there's definitely things that people are doing, even if there's not like an all-in graveyard deck. There is just kind of value kicking around generally.
Yep.
So
I've been playing a bit of Blood on the Snow, so sometimes bringing Planeswalkers back from the graveyard.
There you go.
Yep. We'll see how that one goes. Cracker, you want to give us one of yours?
I do. So one of mine is called Ob Nixilis the Adversary. This is a legendary...
Is it Mob Nixilis?
Oh, might as well be.
You got that soundboard handy?
So this one has Casualty X. So this isn't one of its activated abilities. This is Casualty X. So the copy isn't a legendary creature and has starting loyalty X. As you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power X. When you do, copy this spell. You may choose targets for the new copy. So you cast Ob Nixilis for 3, you sacrifice a 3/3 as part of the casualty cost, and then you now have 2 Ob Nixilis, the adversaries. One of them is a token and is non-legendary, but it has starting loyalty 3. So you can sacrifice anything, but basically get 2 Planeswalkers for 3 mana, which is insane. So his abilities are +1. So like I said, starting loyalty 3, +1. Each opponent loses 2 life unless they discard a card. If you control a demon or a devil, you gain 2 life. -2, create a 1/1 red devil token creature with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. And -7, target player draws 7 cards and loses 7 life. I don't even know where to start with this thing. I mean, like, 3 mana Planeswalkers, pretty much always good. Like, just always.
But 2 for 1, like, really?
Yeah, but
is
like,
that really necessary?
So the first effect is, you know, it's okay. Your opponent does get the choice, which is not always a great thing you want to give them. But, you know, they're either discarding or, you know, they're getting shocked. But if you've got 2 of them in play and you plus it goes to 4. Even if you've got one that you plus to 2, like it comes down, you've sacrificed, you know, a Shambling Ghast or something like that as part of your turn. Then what, you get like a treasure token, 2 Ob Nixilises, and then they've got the choice of either discarding 2 cards or taking 4 damage, or discarding 1 and taking 2. So, like, this is just a huge amount of pressure to start applying very early on.
It's a beat-in early. Like, it's a real beat-in really early with 2 of them on the field.
Yeah, and like Shorty said, I mean, there are already decks that are very keen on sacrificing things. The, you know, Rakdos Anvil decks, pretty keen on you sacrificing stuff. You know, it's kind of built around that. So, yeah, this is going to see a lot of play. And then, the ultimate, I mean, it's like build your own Griselbrand.
It's like Griselbrand at home.
Yeah, but this doesn't cost 8 mana.
This
I don't know.
pretty strong.
Yeah, I think it's just that the +1 is just the biggest kind of draw to this. The -2 to make a devil doesn't seem particularly great. You know, the devil effect is the one we've seen multiple times now. You know, we saw who was the other red Planeswalker?
Tibalt made them.
Yes, thank you.
War of the Spark. Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times. Yeah.
So
yeah, like if you play this on turn 3, you go turn 1 1-drop, turn 2 2-drop, play this on turn 3, sacrifice your 2-drop. You've now got 2 Planeswalkers, 1 on loyalty 3, 1 on loyalty 2. You +1, you -1, whatever you want to do. You've got a whole combination of things you can do there, but you probably end up with a combined loyalty of 5 from a 3 mana Planeswalker spread across 2 targets. Can I just make you flash your memory back to a little card called Oko, Thief of Crowns, that was also a 3 mana Planeswalker?
Yeah.
That came onto the battlefield and had 4 starting loyalty, and you would usually plus it.
Yeah, but it went to 6.
It would go to 6. But even if it went to 5, it was just so hard to deal with because it was just such a high amount of loyalty. Now, if you plus one of them and minus one of them, so you're creating a devil, you've got at least one blocker for when they attack. So there is virtually no way that your opponent is going to be able to kill the 2 Ob Nixilises. They might take 1 down, but there's almost no chance they're going to kill 2. And then you've just then got a Planeswalker that's just ticking up every turn and eventually getting to -7 and drawing 7 cards and whatever. If you play it on turn 6 and you have a 4 power creature or even a 3 power creature, well then you're sort of even further along and you end up with 2 Planeswalkers with like 9 loyalty between them. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's
quite
insane.
Powerful. Like I said, its abilities aren't crazy strong.
It's just the combination of...
Well, not singularly, but in multiples.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It's when you have 2 of them, so you're getting 2 activations per turn. So if you survive that first turn and untap with 2 of them, you've had 2 activations already. You're then going to get another 2. And then if you continue to survive from there, you're just getting 2 activations per turn.
Yeah, imagine if it said, like, it was 3 mana and the +1 was each opponent discards 2 cards or loses 4 life.
Yeah.
That is what it is. That's insane.
Yeah, it's just going to add up. It's going to add up really quickly. The other thing is the token that it creates is non-legendary. So if you happen to draw another Obnixilis later on, you can still play it, and you legend rule the one that you've already got on the field, but the token that you get is not legendary, so you can end up with 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this card is filthy, right? I think it's filthy, but don't get me wrong. I'm sleeving up 4 of them as soon as I can, or crafting 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we do, like I said, Cracker, we've already got the red-black sacrifice-based deck. Like, you've got Eye Twitchers and Shambling Ghasts that you're more than happy to be sacrificing. I hear a lot of people talking about, now I've forgotten the name of it. There's a 3/1 for 1 and a black that would curve nicely in.
Silver Smoke Ghoul or whatever it is?
No, there's one that you can bring back from your grave. I've just completely blanked on what the name of it.
It's one of the vampires, right?
Yeah, I think it was from Zendikar.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a 3/1. You can bring it back from your graveyard with certain conditions, but it's a 2-drop. So you play that on turn 2, play this on turn 3, get your second 3 loyalty Obnixilis and just win the game from there. So yeah, strong card, very very powerful, and will be interesting to see how it goes. It might be overhyped, but
I don't know, man.
It's pretty strong.
I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of it.
Yeah, we might.
He's going to be around.
Yep.
What about you,
All right.
Shorty? What have you got on your list?
One on my list is, as I've said before, first thing I do when I'm looking at previews is just sort them by colour and go to the red cards, have a look at those. So we spoke already about the Devilish Valet, but another one is Strangle, which is a single red for a sorcery, and it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Pretty standard. Nothing complicated. There would be much better if it went to our opponent's face, if we had that option. Why can't they give us Lightning Bolt at sorcery speed? Is that just too strong?
It's just Lava Spike, isn't it?
No, a Lava Spike only goes to players.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's too strong.
No. Anyway, yeah, so we've got Frostbite already in standard, but so this is like Frostbite that's always turned on, but Frostbite is instant speed, so you are lacking that. But one of the things we've had in the mono-red aggressive decks for quite a long time in standard is we haven't had those go-to-the-face burn spells, and so the burn spells that you're playing are really just removal. So having a single red to clear a pretty decent-sized blocker with 3 toughness is pretty handy for those sorts of decks, because often you get sort of brick-walled by like 2-3 creatures. They're just that combination of reasonable power, so they will kill your creatures when you attack into them, but the 3 toughness is often hard to deal with. So having a single red spell that will take down those creatures is going to be quite nice for that one day when we finally get the full mono red aggressive deck back playable in standard. I'll keep crossing my fingers. All right, Stu, give us another one.
Yeah, so my next one is Jewel Thief. It's 2 and a green for a cat rogue. It's a common, by the way. It's Vigilance, Trample, and when Jewel Thief enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And it's a 3/3. It's a lot of stuff on a 3 mana. Oh, sorry, what do we call it these days? 3 mana value common.
It seems like a very good limited card.
Yeah,
and that's exactly why I've picked it out here. Is that in limited, I think this is going to be a classic case of a mythic common or a rare common, right? Like that is just strong. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Bit of ramp and just that combination of vigilance and trample is always fantastic. I think it'll do some work in the limited scene. I don't know if there is any chance of it showing up in constructed at all, but it's not far off, I think. What do you guys think?
I think if either one of those stats were a 4, it would almost definitely see play. I think that the 3/3s, Vigilance Trample's nice, and the treasure token definitely nice, but I think it just being a flat 3/3 probably isn't quite enough to
either
to
that
see
or it had to
play.
be 2. Needed to cost like 1 and a green.
Yeah, if it was one and a green for exactly that card, then yeah, 100%.
Then it wouldn't be common, would it? We'd
No,
be
it would
definitely
not.
looking at rare mythics status there. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a really cool card for limited play.
Yeah, I see you drafting a bunch of those in your near future.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
All right, Cracker, give us another one.
Oh, buddy. I've got all of the words on my cards tonight because I, unlike Shorty, sort by rarity and look at all the fancy, flashy mythics. And this one is called Lord Xander the Collector. He is a 4 and then Maestro. There we go. I got it. So 4 blue, black,
Did you have to look
red.
it up before you said that?
No, I didn't. I had it in front of me. Definitely doesn't say that it's Maestros on the watermark in front of me either. He is a legendary creature, vampire, demon, noble. He's a 6/6. And then all of the paragraphs begin. When Lord Xander the Collector enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand, rounded down. When he attacks, I'm not going to read his name again, defending player mills half their library, rounded down. And when he dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they control, rounded down. Yes, that is all.
Unplayable.
It absolutely is. This is, no, just straight. It is the most Grixis-y card.
Yes.
It does all of the things and none of them are good.
Yep.
And it makes me so happy. It just needs to say draw a card on there somewhere and it would be like amazing. I think if there's a way to cheat it into play, so there's Sorin.
That's the key.
Which lets you put vampires into play. He's not in standard anymore though, is he? That Sorin that's rotated? Is that correct?
There is a Sorin in standard, but I can't remember which one it is.
Otherwise,
I
it's
think
in
it's that one.
Historic and Pioneer. So then, yeah, or if there's a way to, like discard and reanimate. We've obviously talking about the mechanic where you get to loot. If there's a cheap way for you to be able to reanimate Lord Xander, or if you can hide it away and not have to have 9 cards in your hand to cast him, then that's kind of how that's when it would be strong. As it is, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people talking about this in Commander, as you can imagine. I imagine you'd be a pretty hated individual if you decided to put him in the command zone. He also costs 7, which is a million.
It's a lot.
It's like, I play the Locust God and it costs 6, and that's hard to get to sometimes. And it's like 6 to 7 is a lot. And it's rounded down each time and it's target opponent. So it's not like it's hitting the whole table. Opponent. Yeah. So it's not like a full group slug kind of deck. It's very much a spiteful card. You're very much like singling out an individual each time.
Tim, if you're listening to this, you should put this together.
Yeah. So anyway, I look, this card is sweet. The thing that made me sad about this is, I was like, oh, Lord Xander looks like a cool character. And then on one of the arts, it's literally Ob Nixilis just murdering him in the art. Like, that's just what happens. Ob comes in the story and he's just like, I'm going to take over this plane. I better do it by eliminating the houses. And he just kills Lord Xander straight off the rip. Oh, unlucky. Anyway. There you go. Bit of Vorthos nonsense for you.
Yep, nice.
What about you, Shorty? What else have you got there?
All right, I have an equipment. So this with some hard to say words. Luxior Giada's Gift. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, it's
perfect.
It's an equipment for a single mana, which is always good for an equipment. Has equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. Okay, seems right. Equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types. Loyalty abilities can still be activated. That's a sentence I don't think we've ever read before. Equipping a planeswalker, and then you can equip it to a planeswalker for a single mana, or you can just equip it to a normal creature for 3. So right off the bat, this thing combos with Devoted Druid, which is a card that's in my commander deck I just built. It's an 0/2 and it has, can tap it for a green, and then you can put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. So with this, every time you're putting a counter on it to untap it, it's getting +1/+1 for each counter. So it's just negating the -1/-1, which means you just have infinite mana. You can just untap your Devoted Druid infinitely and make infinite mana. Which is good. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do that, and most of them are in my commander deck I just built, so that's cool. The equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types is interesting. So 1 mana, pay 1 to equip it to a planeswalker. This counts any counter and gives it +1/+1. So that includes loyalty counters. So you equip this to, say, Elspeth, who I think this is who this sword is meant to be.
Correct.
Let's say Elspeth has 4 loyalty counters on it. Well, so, you equip this.
Yeah, no? We should talk about Elspeth because it's worth, like, it makes sense that it goes with this. So Elspeth starts with 5.
Yep.
And then its first ability is choose up to 1 target creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance. So if you equip the sword to Elspeth, it's immediately a 7/7.
Well, it's immediately a 5/5.
No. Well, as soon as you +1 though,
then you
it goes up to 6. It's loyalty, and then you put the counter on Elspeth. Yeah. And it gets one of those abilities.
It gets two counters. It's put a +1/+1 counter and a counter from
correct.
Among flying.
That's where 7 comes from.
No, it becomes 8 because it's got the loyalty counter as well.
The loyalty counter as well.
Yeah. So it starts with okay.
So it's 5. Goes up
5.
1.
Yep.
From its loyalty.
6,
so it's 6. Then it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Yep.
So it's a counter. Well, actually, it's more than that. So it gets a counter, which is a +1/+1.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
It also gets the +1/+1 from having that extra counter, and then it gets a counter from having it has a counter on it that is either flying, first strike, or whatever, which also gives it a +1/+1. So it's actually a 9/9.
No, it'd be 8.
No, it'd be 8.
But it's getting +1/+1.
No. So the sword itself doesn't give any base power toughness.
No, but you've got.
So it starts with 5. You got plus it.
Okay,
it goes to 6.
Six loyalty counters. So there's 6.
Yep.
Stick with it, folks.
You've got let's say a flying counter.
Yep.
So that makes it 7.
Yep.
It's then got a +1/+1 counter on it. So that is an extra counter, which is 8, but it also gets +1/+1 from that counter.
Sure. Yeah. All right. No, you're right.
So it's 9. So you put it on Elspeth. Plus Elspeth, it is a 9/9 flyer or first strike or lifelink or vigilance or whatever you want it to be. So that is weird. And it's also weird that you can still... It's not a planeswalker, so you can't kill it with planeswalker stuff. You also can't attack it like you do normally with a planeswalker, but you can still activate all of its abilities. It does die to creature removal now, though, instead of planeswalker removal. So very weird. It's a weird card. And I have no idea if that's going to be good or not, but it bears talking about because it's also extremely confusing judging by the 3 minutes we just had to try and work out.
Well, that's just Elspeth being confusing about putting its own +1/+1/+1/+1s on itself.
Yeah. So very, very strange card. Elspeth itself does look fairly good. 5 mana, 5 loyalty. Yeah, pumps up some creatures, or you can look at the top 7 cards of your library and put a permanent with mana value 3 or less onto the battlefield, and then makes a bunch of angels after that. So
it has a shield counter on it as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah, the permanent that you put in from your library. Yep. So yeah, interesting card. We'll see if it's actually playable. Stu, I think you've got one more on your list.
I do have one more, and it's Bootlegger Stash. It's 5 and a green. Mythic rare artifact with lands you control have tap, create a treasure token.
Why?
Yeah.
What do we think? I've seen a bit of chatter on Twitter, and on the surface it seems really great. You know, you if you've got lands open, they're never dead. You just create more tokens. There's got to be token shenanigans. I don't know. I think it's a very good card, but it does cost 6.
Yeah, it's weird. Like if you're... Let's say you're ramping into this. You've got 6 mana somehow. You play this, that's your turn. You don't get any benefit from it that turn unless you've got untapped lands somehow, which you're probably not unless you're sort of playing this off curve. But if you get to untap with it, you've effectively doubled your mana the first turn, and then...
No, because you don't get to tap it for mana and a treasure.
Yeah.
So you get to choose...
Yeah. But you can tap... You still get double your mana that turn.
How?
Oh, no, you're not. Yeah, because you have to tap them to create the turns. Yeah, okay. So you got to go like a couple of turns in to actually see any real benefit of it.
And that was sort of the what I was getting at is there's been a lot of mixed... Some people just seem to be really high on it, and I'm trying to think of reasons as to why that would be. I mean, unless you're bouncing lands and, you know, doing some sort of Amulet Titan thing in Standard or somewhere, I don't know, but I think it's cool. And I like the idea of, as I said, open mana in the end step of your opponent's turn. Oh, I've still got a couple of mana here. I'll just tap that and create some tokens for next turn. That's where I see the benefit. I can't see how else it really pops off.
Well,
pairs nicely with Goldspan Dragon.
Yes.
There's these cards, not in Command, obviously. There's Wilderness Reclamation, and then there's also Seedborn Muse, which lets you untap at the beginning of each untap step, which just kind of pops off at that point.
That's true.
Why is it green?
Because green needs more mana?
It shouldn't be green.
It just shouldn't exist. It's just like this card is either going to literally do nothing or it's going to be broken.
Yeah, that's why it should be red.
Nothing in between. So why bother? Yeah, it just seems like a weird card to make. Anyway, it is what it is.
It is.
All right. We got any others we want to talk about? I think I've got one more on my list. Cut your losses. There's quite a few. I will just sort of say, just generally on the set, there's a whole bunch of sayings about, make them an offer they can't refuse and different things like this, and cut your losses sort of, I guess, falls into that sort of line as well. But this is 4 blue, not red, 4 blue for a sorcery, and it has target player mills half their library rounded down, and it has casualty 2, so you can sack a creature with power 2 or greater, and when you do, copy this spell, and then you can choose a new target if you want, but generally you're going to choose the same person. And I've seen so many people on Twitter just not understanding how this works and just going,
it's an insta-win, Shorty. Didn't you know you just win on the spot?
No, that's not how it works. So you mill half their library. The copy will resolve first, you mill half their library, and then the spell resolves and you mill half of the remainder of their library. So it's going to be a lot that you're going to be milling, but yes, it does not instantly win, and you still have to find a way to finish off the rest of their library. But I have played this card in the past, I think. I'm pretty sure that's Traumatize. It's the one
5
that was...
mana sorcery? Yeah.
Same thing. Target player puts half of their library rounded down. So I've definitely played that card in tournaments. I've registered it for tournaments before, but I don't think I'll be registering this one, sadly. Probably not going to see play. But there is actually a bit of milling theme. There is, yeah. There was already a bit in standard, but there is a bit in this set as well. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a fancy mill deck there.
I found one more card I want to talk about real quick.
Go for it.
It's called Reservoir Kraken. It is 2 blue for a Kraken. It is a 6/6 with Trample and Ward 2. At the beginning of each combat, if Reservoir Kraken is untapped, any opponent may tap an untapped creature they control. If they do, tap Reservoir Kraken and create a blue 1/1 fish token creature with this creature can't be blocked.
That's a cool card.
I have no idea what we're doing with this, but it's a 4 mana 6/6 with Trample.
4 mana 6/6 Trample.
With Ward 2. I mean, so you're kind of forcing an opponent to like leave a creature untapped to deal with this every turn.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, you're making an army of 1/1 fish.
Yeah.
That can't be blocked, yeah. It is at the beginning of each combat as well, so I guess your opponent does get to choose, do they want to tap it down so it can't block you, but then you get the fish which can block? Or do you want to tap it down so that you can't attack with it? Yeah, interesting. You're putting the ball in your opponent's court.
Yeah. I mean, so like that, it's not usually great to give your opponents a choice, but I just wonder whether the unblockable fish is something that we can abuse as well. Whether that's like a ninjutsu thing we can get going, like another enabler for that kind of side of things, whether there's some shenanigans that can be had. Plus,
goes well with like Kaito.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Yep.
Anyway, interesting card. I don't know if it's good, but it seems sweet.
Yep. Yeah, nice. The other cards we've got that are probably worth mentioning is that there's been a new cycle, I guess you call them, that are sort of, they seem to be like replacements for Evolving Wild. So there's one for each of the different families. So the one I'm looking at is Cabaret Courtyard, and it's basic land. A common land. When Cabaret Courtyard enters the battlefield, sacrifice it. When you do, search your library for a basic mountain, forest, or plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle, and you gain 1 life. So It seems like this is Wizards' way of speeding up games on Arena, because it's really annoying when you play an Evolving Wilds or your opponent plays one and it stops on every single phase asking if giving you the opportunity to crack your Evolving Wilds. And often when I'm playing on Arena, I just crack it at the first opportunity.
Oh yeah,
just
same.
Because I can't be bothered waiting and just, give up all that equity of telling your opponent what colours you're playing or whatever. But yeah, these are interesting. So they're fetching one of the lands of the family of the Cabareti, which is the Naya mountain, forest, or plains. It comes into play tapped, which is the same for an Evolving Wilds. You get to gain a life, so that's nice. But yeah, an interesting nod to Arena play and sort of trying to speed things up. Have you guys talked at all about the ascendancies?
We talked about the fact that they were back.
Yeah.
But we certainly didn't go through all of them. I think there was one initially spoiled that we went through. I can't remember which one was.
Probably don't need to bother going through them.
There's a lot of text on those.
Yeah, so there's 5. We've seen ascendancies in the past in Khan's block previously. So we've got another 5 of those for each of those tri-colours. Same with the charms, which again we've seen those in the past as well. The charms are the spells where you get 3 or 4 options and it's always choose one. And yeah, I don't think any of the ascendancies or charms seem crazy powerful, but they all seem decent. I don't know if the ascendancies will see much play, but some of the charms probably will. And then I think we've spoke about before that there's the not triomes, the tri-coloured lands, filling out the rest of the cycle, which is very good to see because those lands are cool.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah, I think that's it. General sort of feel for the set. We were saying before the podcast, I don't think any of us are very excited about this set. Is that true for you guys?
Yeah, but I think for me it's more so just my current, circumstances, just having the time to really soak it in. But I guess at the same time, if I was really excited about it, I'd find the time. There's some cool stuff in there though. So I think once we get our hands on it, whether physical or digitally, that'll be when when I find out exactly how I feel about it.
Yep. Yeah, I just haven't been that excited. I was saying before the podcast that the last set, the Kamigawa set, was like I loved everything about the set, the art style, the alternate arts, the cards themselves, what it did to standard, the draft format, everything about it was just really good. And this set, I am just not interested at all. I don't like the alternate arts. I'm not drawn in by the theme, despite liking gangster theme stuff. And yeah, it's just been a general feeling of like, okay, yeah, it's just another set that I'm not that excited about. What about you, Cracker?
I can't make up my mind yet. Like, parts of it really draw to me, which I think look like awesome. And I love some of the art styles. Some of it is a bit just over the top as well. Like there's particularly some of the lands and things I think we talked about initially, some of the alternate stuff. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So I don't hate it, but I'm not like madly in love with it either. I'm kind of, just a bit ambivalent, I think. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what Wizards marketing want to hear. This set, I'm just a bit meh.
There's stuff that looks sweet, and there's definitely cards that I'm looking forward to playing with. But yeah, the whole thing isn't like, I don't know. I was more excited leading up to it than I have been in seeing it, I think.
Yep. Oh, we'll see how it goes once it releases. So yeah, this one is the set where they've gone back to the old style of pre-release. So paper pre-release is actually next weekend, the weekend of the 22nd of April, and that is before the Arena release. So it's coming out on Arena the 28th, so the following weekend, and paper that same weekend. So yeah, it'll be first time in ages that a set you'll be able to go and play a pre-release before you've had a chance to play it online and work out which archetypes are good for your pre-release and all that sort of thing. So that'd be cool. And I would normally be excited about that sort of thing, but I'm just not for some reason for this set. And it's also worth noting that this is the last set before rotation. So we'll be back to 8 set standard, so the large standard format. And then with the next set release, we will see the rotation of Zendikar, Kaldheim, Strixhaven, and D&D. They will all be rotating out of standard. So going to be interesting. Generally, we've seen this last set in standard be fairly powerful just to kind of compete with all the other cards that are already there in standard, but I'm not seeing anything that's sort of warning bells other than maybe Old Nixilis.
Yeah, Ob for sure.
Yeah. But time will tell. So
it feels like rotation was not that long ago, man.
I mean, it was a little bit less than a year ago, so really
Time
was not that long ago. I mean, I'm like doing stuff at work at the moment, and we're working out things for July, and it's like, we're already talking about past halfway of the year.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yep. Anyway, all right, so that's it for New Capenna. We'll see what the set's like once we get our hands on it, and hopefully the draft format turns out to be a good one, which I know, Stu, you'd be keen to have happen again. A couple of good ones in a row. Just a couple little reminders on the way out the door. We do have our next event in the tournament series. So we've got our one-day historic event on Saturday, the 30th of April. So in 2 weeks' time, 11 a.m. Melbourne time. And there's $250 in cash and prizes up for grabs for that event. So just go to magicbeanscast.com and you'll find the link there for all the tournament series stuff, and you can go and register on Challenge and get in on that. Plenty of invitational points up for grabs, so make sure you're signed up and registered. And that's going to be it, just the usual sort of stuff. If you want to get in on any of those events, come and join us in our Discord, come and have a chat to us about what you think of the New Capenna cards, and give us your opinions. And then once you start drafting it, let us know what archetypes Stu should be forcing, so you can get back some of those gems that he's been burning.
All I could do with some.
There's a link for our merch store, so when we meet up at the regional championships towards the end of the year, you can be wearing some sweet Magic Beans gear, so go and find that link in the show notes and go and check that out. Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, another shout out to them. Go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and join up the Facebook auction group, and post on or comment on the pinned post that's there to get in on the giveaway that's currently going. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. All those places we are Magic Beans or Magic Beans Cast. If you want to find me on Twitter, I am at Peace Inc. Cracker, you are?
At JoelHill_.
And Stu?
At mstewie.
Very good. So that's it for this week. Thank you as always for listening. Stay safe out there. Have a good Easter, and we will see you all next time.